Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Sue's World. Once again, we return to the peaceful Lincoln house, where once again Sue and Edith are sleeping through the night, as well as little Amaya. Yes, today is a Saturday, which means Amaya does not have to go to school, and Sue has a day off. However, Edith has training at the military base, so it's time for her to get up and get going. Yep, she's got a busy day today. If she's lucky, you never know, there might be time for a promotion. Could happen. Don't put it down. So yes, it's going to be a big day for Edith. Moving up, thinking about her sexual experiences from the previous days. And now Sue gets up as well. Yes, she's going to take it easy today, maybe get a few skill points, you know, that kind of thing. But Edith doesn't have to go to work yet, so the two of them use this time well to enjoy some quality time with one another. Yes, Edith decides to even give Sue a little back rub before she heads off for work. Yes, in the other room, Amaya's getting up as well. I'm pretty sure she wants to get her homework done and out of the way, even though it's Saturday. So, Sue and Edith exchange a little kiss, and now it's time for Edith to go off to work. Yep, well, there she goes. Meanwhile, Sue and Amaya both decide it's time for a nice little swim. Nothing like a little swim to brighten your day. Yep, the water's always warm in an indoor pool. That's one of its great advantages, obviously. Yes. Come on, Amaya. You've done an amazing flip before. There's no reason why you can't. Whoop. Oh, well, I guess not. Okay, well, that's alright. But still, determined, Sue encourages Amaya to come on in anyway. And she does, with a wonderful belly flop. I'm sure that probably hurt, but that's alright. She seems to be okay. Swimming around and just generally having a good old time. Yes, it's plenty of time to play on a day like today, but it's about time for them to get out and get going with other things. Yeah, there's still quite a mess left over from the previous day, and Amaya hopes to be helpful around the house, cleaning up and everything. Sue's going to jump into the shower. She hates to remain stinky, having pool water on her and all that. Yeah, it's not something that's seen as very much of a good thing, I guess. Alright, well, it's time for Sue and Amaya to work on their homework. Or Amaya's homework, rather. It's obviously not Sue's homework. But yes, now that Amaya's in this prestigious private school, at a younger age than Sue ever was there, for that matter, she wants to make sure she comes at it with good grades. But what's this? Oh no, something is going on with Edith at work. Well, unfortunately, it didn't go too well. I mean, if you wanted to read the whole thing, you would have had to pause, but yeah, Edith loses a few skill points, but she doesn't get demoted, so at least that's good. Well, now Amaya has finished their homework, and now that the homework is done, it's time for some lunch. Of course, Amaya is going to help clean up the remaining messes in the room while Sue prepares the breakfast. But Amaya decides to make another phone call. She wants to call over her cousin George, Amanda's son, of course, to come and hang out with the family. So, that's settled. He's coming over. Well, it looks like lunch is ready, and they're going to have some hamburgers. So, they join together at the table, and wouldn't you know it, there he is. There's George. So, Amaya leaps out to greet him. Maybe George will want something tasty to eat. Everyone likes hamburgers. Everyone knows that. So, here he comes. And I just realized their front door swings both ways. Isn't that funny? Usually front doors either go in or they go out, but this one goes both ways. Huh. A double hinged door. How about that? What will they think of next? Well, anyway, Amaya comes right back and continues with her lunch. Sue's done, of course, because she was eating the whole time. And she's going to play some chess. She needs that logic skill after all. Yeah, she's already pretty high in her career, but to get higher, it's going to take a lot of effort. She needs to gain some skill points, and she needs friends. Now, the friends might be a little bit harder, but skill points she can come by a little easier. And now Edith is home from work. It's a wonderful thing. So, now that Edith is home, she's going to join Sue for a game of chess, and Amaya is going to go back in the pool. She's really starting to like the swimming thing. Yes. And wouldn't you know it, they're talking about everything that's going on, enjoying a nice game of chess, because after all, both of them could use a few more skill points. It never hurts to gain skill points. So, sitting, relaxing. Obviously, George was enjoying the pool. There's no pool over at Amanda's and Norm's, but that's why he can come over here and swim. Yes, he's always welcome over, as is any member of the Lincoln family, because they're quite a friendly bunch. Oh man, I guess all that swimming made George hungry, so he's going to snack on a burger. Hey, I don't blame him. It's very tasty. Almost want to reach through the screen and get one for myself. But yes. Ah, the good old maid. Fixture of the Lincoln family since the early days, and still working. Still wearing those yellow gloves. Interestingly enough, it looks like he hasn't aged a day. Well, what do you know? I guess that's not too unusual. Yes, a lot of immortal characters in the land. Well, anyway, I think they're satisfied with their logic points. Now it's time for both of them to go upstairs and work on some charisma points. Yes, both of them need it. Meanwhile, speaking of skill points, Amaya has picked one up from swimming in the pool. So, isn't that a wonderful thing? Yep, now Amaya and George decide to chat a little bit. Yes, they're becoming much closer friends. It hardly even matters anymore that Amaya was adopted. She's considered one of the family, just like anyone else. And it's great how close that she and George in particular have grown over time. But something else is going on today. Edith wants to tell Amaya something very important. Edith's oldest brother, Brandon Everett, has invited Amaya over for dinner. And Amaya's like, do I really have to go over there? I thought you didn't like him. And Edith is like, no, he's still family. And besides, they have a daughter about your age. They have 3 kids. Maybe you'll make some friends over there. And Amaya's like, oh, all right. Yes, Edith and her brother haven't talked that much. But Amaya has decided to go over there. So, away she goes to meet some new family that she really doesn't know that much about. And this is Ricky Everett. Yes, he is the middle child and the only boy. And yes, he is, I would say, about James's age. And he's into working out, into computers, all that stuff. Yeah, he definitely looks like a guy who looks up to his dad quite a lot. Wants to be like him. And this is Tina, the oldest daughter of the family. Yes. She's definitely got some things happening, but it seems like she's a little preoccupied at the moment. Yes, we know how a lot of teenage girls are. Not all, but many. Yeah, it's funny stuff. And here is the youngest daughter, Lisa. Even younger than Amaya, just by a little bit. She's the youngest daughter of the family. And she is obviously into painting. Yes, they are one happy family. As much as any family out there that you don't know is happy. And this is Brandon Everett. We've all known him. He is Edith's oldest brother. Yeah, he's the head of the family, having been founded this all from scratch, basically. And there is Renee Everett, Brandon's wife. Yes, they met together while in college, and they built this all together. This big family, this big house. And here is the house where they live. And here comes Amaya. Yes, her Aunt Renee greets her as she pulls up to the house. Walks up to the house, rather. Yeah, they've never seen Amaya before, even though they've heard of her. Yes, Amaya doesn't know quite what to think of this family, because, I mean, they're related to Edith at any rate, by blood, but they never really talked, and Amaya doesn't really understand why, because they seem fine. Yes, Lisa came out once to play, but Amaya, I guess, is really a little uncomfortable. I mean, she doesn't know them well yet, or anything like that. But she talks to her Uncle Brandon, and he's like, you must be Amaya. Obviously, heard so much about you. Yes, Amaya's not sure what to think of the surroundings there. Very different decorating scheme than she's used to seeing back home. And very different people, too. Just the way they act just seems different to her, and she doesn't really know exactly how to quantify it. But, you know, different family, different attitude. Yes, but, oh, that's not very nice. Yes, Tina has given Amaya a noogie for some reason. Well, it's time for dinner now, but Amaya doesn't seem all that interested, at least not right now. She seems to just be more fascinated watching the fish swim around in the tank. Well, don't really blame her. I mean, she hasn't ever had fish before. Yeah, and they're all talking. This is like, Amaya's kind of weird, isn't she? Says Ricky. And Brandon's like, well, you have to look at who raised them. And there's a bit of an awkward silence around the table. But then Amaya comes in, and the conversation jumps to a different course. Yeah, poor Amaya's pretty awkward, but eventually she sits down and grabs her plate, eats along with the rest of the family. Yeah, she tries to join in the family conversation, but yes, a lot of people are done already, so they're going to go off and do other things. Well, at least they're very neat and orderly, clearing away the plates as they go. Yep, looks like they've had their last bites. But at least Lisa is nice enough to stay around at the table, chat with Amaya after everyone else has left. Yes, I'm sure they've noticed their very similar hairstyles. Good old pigtails, even if they're not quite the same color. Or indeed, not the same color whatsoever. But After dinner, everyone just sort of comes into the living room where they're watching the TV. Oh, that obnoxious TV. We all know it well. Yes, Ricky comes up to Amaya, tries to brag a little bit about himself and, you know, how his sports teams are doing and all that kind of stuff, and Amaya just isn't that interested. It's getting the feeling that she's finding this a little bit more awkward at every point. Yes, and now, for some reason, Amaya's like, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to jump around on their bed. What a rambunctious little child. Very funny stuff. Yeah. And, of course, Amaya stops once Renee gets in there. But it's time for this little outing to end. Sue herself comes over to take Amaya home, standing in the room, watching as they all talk and chat. Yeah, Sue was never quite sure about Brandon or his wife, and now she's not too sure about the kind of kids they're raising either, but yes, they're whispering right in front of Sue, and of course I can't imagine that makes her too happy. So she goes over to Amaya, and she's like, yeah, we're leaving. Amaya is having a good conversation, though, with Lisa, having fun playing Mary Mac. And, well, I guess the older ones have a lot of not as much nice things to say or something. But Amaya's like, well, time for me to go, so off she goes, back home. After quite an interesting experience over at the Brandon Everett household. Well, back at the house, Edith is getting out of her work clothes, hopping in the shower, just generally cleaning up. Yeah, it's a good thing to be clean. Yes, climbing through trenches every day and whatever else they do in their training can't be good for your hygiene, so it's always good to take a shower. Well, neighbor kid is here, and Edith decides to go say hi to him. Hopefully he wasn't peeping through the window, but I set far back enough for don't worry about it. Well, anyway, Edith is now playing video games with another neighbor named Gary Bedford, and George has just been hanging around the house all day. Yes, Amaya, very comfortable now that she's home, playing around, enjoying herself with... And now Sue is preparing for dinner, and everyone's going to want to have a bite of that. I mean, even though Amaya has eaten before, I can't imagine that she was all that hungry, considering the awkwardness of the situation. But they're all hungry now, including the neighbor, who has, of course, decided to dine with the rest of the family. So, time for everyone to come in and have spaghetti and meatballs. Have to say, quite a delicious treat for everybody. Yes, Amaya tells them all about their day. I guess not minding Gary's presence too much. He seems like a friendly chap, so... Yeah. Amaya doesn't know. She didn't completely dislike them, but she also feels a little uneasy around them. But that's alright. Their minds are undoubtedly focused on other... And now, having finished dinner, it's pretty much time for everyone to head off to bed. Yes. Sue and Edith have each had a long day, but they're not quite done for the night yet, as you might imagine. Amaya, I'm sure, wants to play with her dolls a little bit more before hitting the hay. Yeah, she has a lot to think about, I guess. And going into her imaginary world, it's certainly something that's going to be good. At any case, At any rate, Sue and Edith are doing their thing. Yes, but can you blame them? They're a young, healthy couple, and they're going to enjoy themselves before they get too old. And even once they get old, perhaps they will still be going strong. Yes. Things are going well at the Lincoln House. Things are going very well, you might say. Yes. It truly is a beautiful thing. Well, that just about wraps up this episode of Sue's World. I'm very sorry that everybody had to wait so long between the last episode and this one. I believe it was around 3 months. Hopefully this length of wait will not have to happen again, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you for many, many more. So long.